Yeah, welcome back, class 8 in the online bio classes. In the first chapter, you have already completed along with the question answers. Now today, we have to start with the new chapter number 2, that is reproduction in plants and animals. So you know what is the definition of reproduction? Reproduction is the process by which living organisms produce young ones of their own kind. So definition, first of all, the definition of reproduction is the process. Reproduction is the process by which living organisms produce offsprings. Offsprings means they produce the babies of their own kind. It is the process by which living organisms produce offsprings of their own kind. Means similar to them only they produce the living organisms. And there are, now why this process is important? It helps in the continuity of species. So that, like if a plant is there, mango plant, from the mango seed it will regenerate the entire mango plant. So in this way the species will continue to survive generation after generation. And there are two modes of reproduction. What are they? Asexual and sexual reproduction. Now asexual reproduction in plants is completed by three different methods. What are they? Spore formation, fragmentation and vegetative propagation. What is vegetative propagation? The growth of a new plant from vegetative parts like roots, stems and leaves is called vegetative propagation. In other organisms, it is done by different methods like by budding, as it is done in Hydra, as well as the second one is by the process of budding is found in Hydra. The second one is, it is in the form of fission, you can say, like binary fission, multiple fission. Apart from that, some other methods are also there. So we can mark it as binary fission, only one. Binary means two, fission means splitting. So one organism is split into two daughter cells by the process of binary fission. So we will study about each one of them. The second one is called sexual reproduction, in which two parents are involved, male and female, to produce the gametes that results in the combination of gametes. So now first one is, what is asexual reproduction? The definition of asexual reproduction is, it is the process by which single organism, the body of a single organism, divides to produce young ones of their own kind. So what is the definition of asexual reproduction? Asexual reproduction means the process by which the body of a single parent divides to form new daughter cells or the new organisms. Only one single parent is involved. Okay? So what is the point you mark in asexual reproduction? Only one parent is involved. Two parents are not required. And since the organisms are formed from the single parent, so they contain similar characters, or they show the similar characters like parents. The organisms which are produced by asexual reproduction, they show similar characters like their parents, and there is no formation of gametes. So gamete formation is not there. Gametes means the reproductive cells. So gamete formation is not there. During asexual reproduction, there is no gamete formation. Gametes are not required, and the new organisms, they have the similar characters like their parents. So it is also called clone. What is clone? Clone is the organism which show similar morphological characters like their parents. Means from the single parent, a new organism is formed which show similar characters like their parents. They are called clones. So we can mark this word. Clone is a morphologically and genetically. Morphological means externally, external features. So clone is a morphologically and genetically similar individual. Produced from a single parent. That is called clone. You may have heard the word clone. Like the first organism to be cloned was Dolly, a sheep, which was prepared from a single parent which shows similar characters. They are also called the carbon copy of the organism. Now next we have the second one. Sexual reproduction is the process in which there is fusion of two parents are required. First of all, you have to mark the process by which new organisms are formed by the fusion of gametes. The word gametes means, I have written here in the bracket, by the fusion of gametes produced by two different parents. Produced by two different parents. So gamete formation is required in case of sexual reproduction. So gamete formation take place. In asexual reproduction there was no gamete formation. Here the gamete formation takes place. Gamete formation takes place. There is the fusion of gametes also. Fusion means the union of gametes, and the organisms which are produced, they show variations. Variations means differences. So variations are produced, or variations are seen in the organisms which reproduce by sexual reproduction. So variations are seen in organisms, right? This much will help you to understand. Now next we have the different types of asexual reproduction that we'll study, okay? Okay, now next topic we have to continue is asexual reproduction in plants. How do plants reproduce asexually? So it is by three methods. Plants reproduce asexually by, what are those three methods? Spore formation. First one is spore formation. Second one is fragmentation. And the third one is vegetative propagation. So one by one we have to study about each one of them. First one is spore formation. I wrote here already spore formation. So let's start with the first one. Spore formation. Now, which plants reproduce by spore formation? What is spore? So first of all, you have to see that this type of asexual reproduction by spore formation is found in lower plants like mosses and ferns. Moss and fern. Fern is a type of pteridophyte. These are the plants reproduce asexually by spore formation. Moss and ferns reproduce asexually by the formation of a globular structure, by the formation of a globular means spherical structure called sporangia, and the singular is sporangium. Sporangia I have written. The singular of sporangia is sporangium. Spelling you can check, G-I-U-M, sporangium. Okay, this is the singular word, sporangium, in which the spores are present. Okay, if you see the diagram like this, the leaves are there, okay, and here a globular round structure is there. This is called sporangium. Inside that sporangium, many tiny spores. The spores, when this sporangium or the sporangia will mature means when it will be fully grown, it will burst. So once it is fully mature, this is called sporangium. It will burst and it will release the spores. Spores are very light in weight. So next point you can write, spores are light in weight so that they can be carried by the wind and have a hard protective coat. Means they have outermost covering which gives protection to it. So spores are light in weight and have a hard protective coat. When they fall in the favorable places, they germinate and they grow into just like the seeds grow into a new plant. Similarly, these spores, which are almost invisible to our eyes, they are very small, microscopic. They fall on the ground or on suitable places, and when they get all the conditions required for germination, they start growing into a new moss plant or the new fern plant. Even the common bread mold, Rhizopus, which is found growing on our stale bread, they also reproduce by this method. So bread mold is a type of fungus which reproduces by the method of spore formation. Okay, so spore formation is a type of asexual reproduction found in lower plants like mosses, ferns, even in the bread mold, which is a type of fungus, in which the spores are produced inside a globular structure that is called sporangium. And when the sporangium is mature and it bursts, it releases the pollens into the atmosphere or into the air. Being light in weight, they are carried away by the wind to all the places, and when they fall on favorable place where they get all the conditions for germination, they start germinating to grow into a new plant. So now next we have to study is fragmentation. Okay, first one is spore formation completed. What is fragmentation? The word fragments means pieces. Like if I take a piece of chalk and break it into many pieces, each piece will be called as fragment. So the meaning of the word fragmentation, second one, number B, by fragmentation. Fragmentation. This type of asexual reproduction is found in an algae called Spirogyra. So if I will show you the diagram of Spirogyra, it has got a spiral chloroplast. Means the chloroplast is present in the form of spiral shape. Okay, chloroplast. It is like this. So when we cut it into many pieces, like 1 piece, 2 piece, 3 piece, the entire plant is cut into many pieces. Spirogyra. What is a Spirogyra? Name of a algae. What is Spirogyra? Name of a algae, which has got chloroplast in the form of a spiral shape. When we cut them into many pieces, each piece is called fragments. They are called fragments. This is also a fragment. This is also a fragment. 2-3 pieces I have cut. Okay. Now each fragment, once they get all the favorable conditions, they can germinate into the complete organism. So this process of asexual reproduction is called fragmentation. So how to write it? Fragmentation is a method of asexual reproduction in which an entire new organism in which a new organism will germinate from a fragment. Fragment means a piece. From each fragment, one complete organism can regenerate. This process of asexual reproduction is called fragmentation. Now, next one we have to study number C, that is by vegetative propagation. By vegetative propagation. Propagation means growth. To grow into a new plant, that word is called propagate. Okay? So by vegetative propagation, plants can grow or they can reproduce asexually by vegetative parts. Vegetative parts means roots, stems, leaves. They are called vegetative parts. Vegetative propagules also. P-R-O-P-A-G-U-L-E-S. What is vegetative propagules? Those part of the plant which can germinate into a new plant is called vegetative propagules. Okay? So roots, stems and leaves are called vegetative propagules. Some plants can reproduce from the roots, others from the stems, and some other plants like Bryophyllum can reproduce from the leaves. So one by one we'll try to study the different types of vegetative propagation. First of all, the definition of vegetative propagation, then the types, and then the examples of each one of them. First, what is vegetative propagation? What is the definition we have to write first? Okay. Vegetative propagation is the growth of new plant from vegetative parts like root, stem and leaves. There are two types of vegetative propagation, natural and artificial. What are they? Number A, natural vegetative propagation, and number B, artificial vegetative propagation. Artificial vegetative propagation. Okay. Now, natural vegetative propagation means when a plant can grow naturally from its parts, like from the roots, from the stem, from the leaves. If a new plant can germinate from the stem cutting, like you can see the example in case of potato, which is underground stem. New plants develop from the buds, 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 which are present on its surface. So this method of growing of new plant from their vegetative parts is called natural vegetative propagation. So natural vegetative propagation can be by roots, it can be by stems. Again, stems two types, by subaerial stems, and next one is by underground modification of stems, that is called underground stems. And it can be by the leaves also, as in case of Bryophyllum. New plant can grow from the leaves. So first, the example of roots. Which plants grow from the roots? You may have seen in case of sweet potato. Sweet potato you have seen, it is a root only, which is modified into a tube-like, and it becomes very thick and fleshy. The sweet potato. Why it is thick and fleshy? Because it stores food inside it. And from the roots of this sweet potato is an example of root only. It stores food inside it, and many these propagules, which are known as slips, S-L-I-P-S. Now what is these slips? If it is asked, they are swollen. The buds, B-U-D-S, buds. So let me see, what is bud? Don't confuse. The word bud means young undeveloped shoot is called bud. So many buds which are present in the sweet potato, they are called slips. They can germinate, like they will grow, they will fall from the parent plant and they can germinate to grow into a new plant. So this method of growth of new plants from the roots of the plant is called the natural vegetative propagation by roots. So what is bud I have said? Young undeveloped shoot. Young and developed shoot is called bud. There can be floral bud which gives rise to the flower. There can be apical bud which is found at the tip. There can be terminal bud, apical or terminal bud. There can be axillary bud which is present in the angles. Now next we have the stems. Subaerial stems. Subaerial means the stems generally, the root part of the plant grow below the soil. The stem part grow above the soil. But subaerial means like if there is a plant, some part is growing above, and since the stems are very thin or weak, they will bend and grow horizontally, touching the ground. And the place where they touch, they will develop roots. They are called adventitious roots. Example, in case of runner, you have seen runner, no, dub grass, that the main roots are here, the plant is fixed here. The stem, which is very soft and slender, it will bend downward, it will run parallel to the ground, touch the ground, and those places where it will touch the ground, they will develop roots, and again further it will grow. So runner is an example of subaerial stem. Now next one is underground stems. Underground stems, many examples are there, like onion, which is also known as bulb, in which the stem is present and it is surrounded by the fleshy scale leaves, the one which we eat in the onion, and the outermost part is known as the dry scale leaves, which covers the onion fleshy leaves. And then next we have the potato. You may have seen the potato also. It has got eyes or buds in it. These eyes are actually buds, B-U-D-S, buds. If you cut the potato tuber, it is called tuber, T-U-B-R. When you cut it into many pieces, each piece containing an eye, it can germinate to give rise to a new potato plant. Okay, so it is the buds which are present, the nodes which are present on the stem, on this tuber, which gives it the characteristics of stem and which can germinate further to grow into a new plant. So next one is corm. Corm is also a fleshy, round structure which grow in the vertical direction, and it is also the one which is underground modification of stem, and that can give rise to the adventitious roots, the roots which arise from the base of the stem, and it can germinate to produce the new plants. Okay, so next one is rhizome. Rhizome example you can give ginger. In case of rhizome or the ginger, the surface of the ginger or rhizome contains, it is a swollen stem. It has got nodes, internodes. Nodes and internodes are the characteristics of stems. They are not found in roots. Okay, an example of leaf one, like the bryophyllum leaf is there. The margin of the leaf, this one, it contains the small baby plants. Okay, when these baby plants are fully mature, they are called plantlets. They will fall from the leaf, they will fall to the soil from the leaf, they will fall in the soil, and once they get all the conditions, they will germinate into a new plant. So this type of natural vegetative propagation by leaf occurs in the bryophyllum. Okay, so today only up to natural vegetative propagation. In the next class, we will study about the artificial vegetative propagation in plants. Okay, example of forms, gladiolus already I said, I think, no? Okay.